Hey guys, what is up? It's your girl Grace Tori, and I am back with a whole new podcast episode. We are taking it back to 2016. I don't know about you, but 2016 literally felt like a fever dream for me. I just remember the core thing being One Direction broke up and being a sophomore that was going into my junior year that year. That was pretty crazy for me. That was a really hard time. Obviously, a bunch of other things happened in 2016, but for me, that was the biggest thing. So, yeah, I thought we would just go on Best of Redditor updates, scroll around, and go through the archives, find ourselves some good 2016 lore, and just kind of see what was up back in the good old days. Before I jump in, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow, whatever the term is on the platform that you are listening or watching on. It takes about 0.2 seconds, and it would mean the absolute world. It's free and literally helps me in so many ways, more than you even know. If you like these fun little stories, whether they're Reddit stories, listener stories, definitely keep on watching, listening, because there are so many more where that came from. Let's go ahead and jump on in. I'm Grace Tori, and you're listening to That Girl the Podcast. Grab a beverage of choice and settle in, because the new episode is starting now. Let's start with one that was posted on January 4th, 2016, originally in r/confession, because we love a good confession. It is titled, I won the lottery 5 years ago and I haven't told anyone. I just got engaged. So it starts by saying absolutely no regrets. So after taxes, my winnings came to just shy of 4 million. I paid off all my debts, hired an accountant, fixed some things on my truck, and put most of it in savings. I kept my job, didn't move, and kept my mouth shut. Honestly, I respect it. I would like to think I would do the same thing, but I probably wouldn't because I just don't have enough self-control for that. My brother is really into the street candy. My sister is not a good person, and my mom still blames everything on my dad, who died 10 years ago, so I don't want them scrambling to pretend to care about me for cash. Honestly valid. Like, as someone who has a lot of trauma regarding family, has a lot of friends who has some trauma regarding family, I can respect this, totally understand, and so far I'm like right there with you. I've been dating a girl for about 3 years now and recently asked her to marry me. She said yes. I bought a modest ring, just over what people would expect given my known employment. I don't know how I feel about that, not telling her, but let's continue. This weekend I'm going to lay everything out for her, and I can truly know she's in it for me and not the money. It's going to be liberating to be able to buy what I want and take care of my friends. Totally worth the wait. So that was the first update, and here is a relevant comment. It says, I think the big thing here isn't how much he has from the win. It's the fact that winning the lottery is seen as such a significant event, and he hasn't even told the fiance. At the end of the day, how much money anyone has in their bank account is no one's business but their own. It's just, instead of the conversation about how much he has stored away for their life together won't be, I have 15K, it'll be, I have 4 million. She will certainly be shocked and want to understand why this information was not shared sooner. OP, make sure she understands that this wasn't about withholding things from her, but the fact the money is in savings like it would be for anyone else out there. It's not a huge part of your everyday life, and you're not defined by it. Good luck. I agree. Like, I was trying to think about it because Josh and I have been together for 5 years. We have like a general sense of each other's finances and where our savings are at and stuff, but it's not like we know every single detail. Like, it's not like I know every single cent that's in his bank account, what his savings are like, things like that. We do kind of know, but it's just not a conversation. Like, I think that finances are really, really important to talk about when you are wanting to get married, but at the same time, I can totally understand if someone was like, oh, I didn't really, I have this savings account. Like, if you have a job where you're making a good amount and you've got your life together, I feel like the first thing you're not going to ask is what's in your savings account. But then again, in 3 years, I feel like it would come up. So I don't know if I personally would be super, super upset, but I also feel like if like my boyfriend came to me and was like, by the way, I secretly have had $4 million in my savings account, I would be so like relieved, because then it would be like, okay, we don't have to stress about anything. That I don't know if I would be upset that we didn't talk about it sooner. But I can also see like that is a huge thing to not share. So, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that this is something that you would be upset about if you found out after you were engaged? I think that the whole argument, if she just wants me for the money, is valid in some situations, but in this one, I don't like, she fell in love with him for other reasons, and I think that him not telling her at this point that's not, like, a good reason. Like, she fell in love with him already, so if he would've said it earlier, I don't think it would've made a difference. But let's continue. For the relevant comment, OP did reply and say, "The biggest thing for me is about the savings account and that it's not a huge part of his everyday, like, spending this amount of money." He said, "It started out as keeping it away from my family and maintaining the life I'd built on my own, but it just kind of snowballed from the 'does she really like me' concern and turned into a thing. It wasn't a planned test or anything crazy." And then they added some more information. They said, "This has spawned some serious discussion, addressing a few things. We've already talked about prenups several times, and we both are for them. She makes enough to support herself, and we're both financially independent of each other." See, that's another reason that I would be like, why would she be in it for the money if she's financially independent? Like, it's that argument of after you make a certain amount of money, no amount of money makes life better. Like, when you reach a threshold that it shows that, like, your happiness doesn't improve after that. Would that be at play here? It depends on how much she makes, but she's financially independent. It's not like she's mooching off of you, so I just don't know. He said, "I have helped a few friends with small things financially. Most have paid it back. No, you can't have a dollar. Fair enough. For those of you who feel entitled to know the financial ins and outs of your significant other's life while dating, that's your view. We're both adults who had careers prior to dating and have never needed to get into what's in our accounts, short of, 'Do you have this half without bill?' I've never told her I'm loaded or broke or gone over that my portfolio looks like because it hasn't come up, and I'm fine with not knowing hers." And that's what I meant. Like, I feel like there's this in between of it doesn't really come up because as long as day to day you're good, like, you don't really talk about it. But then at the same time, it would probably be smart to talk about it because what if you lost everything or you got into a situation where you couldn't work anymore? So that's kind of how I feel. I do enjoy my job and the people I work with or for, so it's been easy to stay on. My returns net me about double my salary, so I've been saving quite a bit. I plan on buying a new vehicle, her as well if she wants one, a house, paying off a friend of mine's student loans, more than that, and taking off some time to travel. A good friend of mine reached out to me early on and let me stay with him for close to 2 years, rent free, while I kicked a drinking habit and got on my feet. He's the only one I'll be pouring any kind of cash to, and it couldn't be to a better person. He has a newborn daughter that will get a college fund. I'm paying off his school debts and his house. Other than that, ask away. I'll update everyone later. Valid. I mean, that's just like life changing. And I get that you can't change everyone's life because, in the grand scheme of things, like in the grand scheme of the world, 4 million can get burnt so quick. You can either turn that into way more or you can blow it so fast. So I understand being very, very frugal about what he's doing with it. That's the smart thing to do. Yeah, that is like so life changing for those around you. So I'm glad that he is putting it in a college fund. That'll put her on such a good place when she graduates. I just love to see it. There's a new update from January 18th, 2016. I received a lot of feedback on my post, and several people expressed interest in the outcome of revealing my finances to my new fiance after keeping her in the dark for so long. So my plan was a relaxing evening on the odd weekend we both managed to be free from work or other plans. We went to an early dinner at one of our favorite Italian places. It's an inexpensive little diner nearby with great appetizers, and then finally went to see Star Wars. After the movie, we grabbed some beer and wine for the evening, and then we went home to relax. Skipped the weekly small talk about work, friends, and the accompanying few drinks in, and I told her I wanted to be open about everything with each other leading up to the marriage. She got kind of quiet, a little guarded, and said, "Well, yeah, so do I." Pausing with that look people get when they want you to keep talking. I told her we were never truly going to have to worry about money, that she could do whatever she wanted with her job, or stay at home, or change careers, anything she wanted, because I had north of $3 million in the bank. Her response was the slow, "What are you talking about? How?" kind of thing. I got up and pulled a financial statement I printed out and stashed in the coffee table drawer, handed it to her, and told her I'd won it all a couple of years before we met. She started crying, like sobbing, uncontrollably crying, and looked terrified. I got really worried and started explaining I kept it hidden because I didn't want my horrible family hunting me down, that I didn't want people around me to change or to lose my friend. Then she started apologizing, saying she should have told me before I proposed. She has about 40,000 in student loan and credit card debt and thought that was going to break the engagement. Honestly, in this day and age, that's really not that much. I'm just going to say. I feel like the people who think it's that much are the people who are financially responsible, and, like, I feel like what I have is not that much, but it still stresses me out, so I get it, but it could be way worse is what I'm saying. She thought I was so financially responsible that there was no way I'd take on that debt because she never told me about it. It's why she's been so open to a prenup in the vague conversations we'd had about it before, why she never brought up or talked about money. So after a long conversation about openness and trust, even mentioned some of your guys' opinions, we hashed out some ideas on what we could agree on for the prenup in regards to premarital debts, assets, and all of that. I'm going to pay her debt off after we're married so the tax issue is less of a concern, and all my winnings will remain mine should we divorce. Interest and dividends will be marital assets. All told, I'm very pleased with how things played out, and we're in a great place for it. We're working with attorneys and my accountant this week, and I'll be putting my 2-week notice in at work. She wants to keep her job, but will request some time off so we can take a vacation and settle into actually enjoying some money. I talked to my friend about paying it off his house and all that. He very firmly refused anything for himself, but was very grateful for the offer to set up his daughter's college fund. I'm going to keep leaning on him, though. I think he'll come around to accepting some repayment of the kindness he showed me. Maybe a vacation at the very least? I don't know. That's all, folks. I'll check in from time to time if you guys have any questions. Last relevant comment is just out of curiosity, why quit your job? Is it a bad job? Is about 3 million enough to retire on, or are you just going to work doing something you like instead? Either way, it seems like everything worked out nicely. They responded and said, I have an offer from a company that pays less but is more in line with what I'm interested in. Probably should have mentioned that. Good to know. And honestly, like if you do some smart things with that 3 million, like put it in a CD or a high yield savings account, or I'm not a stocks person because I feel like that's too stressful for me personally, but you could do that as well. These are all ways that you can make that money grow. You know, there are ways to literally like double this money or triple this money if you're smart about it. And I'm glad he has an accountant. He doesn't need me to tell him that. This was also 10 years ago. But just a happy little story, like winning the lottery is crazy. I feel like it happens here kind of often, and it's kind of crazy that it does. But yeah, I thought this was a good one to start on, but I want to know your opinion. How would you feel if your fiance told you that they had $4 million, $3 million, anywhere in between that they were keeping from you because they, I don't know. I don't know if he mentioned it's because he thought she would leave him or what it was, but just saying. This one is titled, Finally, a brief update to one of the most Ask a Manager letters, the horrible boss who wouldn't let his best employee attend her own graduation. This is rage bait. Like, genuinely, I'm convinced. It made me so mad when I read it. So I also want your opinion on this, okay? I feel like we all have a lot of opinions. We're those girls that, like, grab the popcorn. We don't want to be involved, but, like, we want to see what's going on, like Glen Coco type. So I want to know your opinions. You know, I want to know your thoughts on the tea that has nothing to do with you because you're getting mine, so it's only fair, right? We're a community here. Anyway, let's jump on in. This post was copy and pasted into this subreddit from Ask a Manager, the blog. So it's not from Reddit, but just a heads up, they put it on here. And it's originally from July 2016. I manage a team, and a part of their job is to provide customer support over the phone. Due to a new product launch, we are expected to provide service outside of our normal hours for a time. This includes some of my team coming in on a day our office is normally closed, based on lowest seniority because no one volunteered. Oh, Lord. Let's start with the based on lowest seniority. No. So when we have days like that, maybe it's because our team is small. Everyone does like a couple hours. Like everyone does an hour, 2 hours, and it's very much like what's your schedule? Okay, what would work best? Like it's very much a team effort. But also the lowest seniority thing is something you can't help. Like at my old job, if we had to do that and no one wanted to come in for overtime, we would do like, okay, this person did a lot and had high numbers this week, so they deserve a break. You had really low numbers. Would you mind coming in? or, "Hey," like, you know, it was something like that, and that's if people didn't volunteer. So, I feel like there's a lot of ways you could go about this that's not lowest seniority, and even if that's the case, if someone has something really big come up, it shouldn't be, like, life or death. Continuing. One employee asked to come in 2 hours after the start time due to her college graduation ceremony being that same day. She was taking night classes part-time in order to earn her degree. I was unable to grant her request because she was the employee with the lowest seniority and we need coverage for that day. I said that if she could find someone to replace her for those 2 hours, she could start later. She asked her coworkers, but no one was willing to come in on their day off. Oh, that makes me so mad. Not the coworkers, because it's really not their responsibility, but him being like, sorry. That's so like, imagine having the audacity to just post this and be like, "Yeah, I'm not in the wrong. She's in the wrong." Like, you know, our workers are machines. God forbid they have things to do. Crazy. After she asked around, some people who are not scheduled for the overtime did switch shifts with other people, but not her, and volunteered to take in overtime from others who were scheduled. But these people are friends outside of work, and as long as there's coverage, I don't interfere if people want to give or take overtime for their own accord. A caveat is I did intervene and switch one person's end time because they had concert tickets that they had already paid for, but this was a special circumstance because there was cost involved. As if school doesn't cost money, you know? Like, unless these are literally Taylor Swift tickets, there is absolutely no way that that cost was anywhere near the cost of going to school. Like, what are we saying here? Continuing, I told this team member that she could not start 2 hours late and that she would have to skip the ceremony. An hour later, she handed me her work ID and a list of all the time she had worked late or come in early, worked overtime for each and every one of her coworkers. Then she quit on the spot. I'm a bit upset because she was one of my best employees by far. Her work was excellent. She never missed a day of work in 6 years she worked here, and she was my go-to person for weekends and holidays. Even though she doesn't work here any longer, I want to reach out and tell her that quitting without notice because she didn't get her way isn't exactly professional. I only want to do this because she was an otherwise great employee, and I don't want her to derail her career by doing this again and thinking it is okay. She was raised in a few dozen different foster homes and has no living family. She was homeless for a bit after she turned 18, and besides us, she doesn't have anyone in her life that has ever had professional employment. This is the only job she has had. Since she's never had anyone to teach her professional norms, I want to help her so she doesn't make the same mistake again. What do you think is the best way for me to do this? Listen here, dirtbag. I guarantee that where she goes to school, they teach you professional things. That's quite literally part of their job. We took a class on how to be in a career, literally. Also, I guarantee that she's going to find a job that aligns with her morals when it comes to work. Like, they have good work-life balance and things like that. It's shitty what you did to her. And you're in the wrong. She should be telling you, hey, professionally, you shouldn't tell people they can't go to their graduation because of lowest seniority when they literally worked their butt off and are asking for something that's not they're not asking for something crazy. They literally are graduating. This is an update from February 2022 that's really satisfying. This is about me. I know for a fact is because this exact thing happened to me in that time frame, and I know exactly who it was. I'd like to tell this person that I have a general idea of the social norms, but certain health conditions make it impossible for me to stay on this side of reality very long. I did, however, get medicated and became a GM myself that would never be a jerk like he was. And it wasn't about the graduation at all. It was so much more than that. It was about having one day that was just mine. Joke's on him, though, that diploma has got me further in life than I would have gotten without. That's another thing I was thinking about is like she's just starting her career. And do you really want to plant like an anchor in your career somewhere where they don't even let you go to graduation? Which in the corporate world, you know how much they care about degrees and stuff, like experience, but also degrees. And he's not even letting you go to graduation. Be so for real. All right, you guys, I had one more story, but my camera literally turned off and broke. Things are going well. So I guess I'm gonna end it here. If you guys want to see a part two, I'll probably fit that story into something else because it was a really good story and I'm really bummed about it. But that is pretty much it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you guys every Sunday. So I'll see you next Sunday with a whole new story vibe. You know the drill. So I don't know. I'm just like
in shock, right? I don't know. So I'm gonna try and figure this out. But I love you guys so much. Thank you for being patient. I know we're a day late. There's a snowstorm. I'm sorry. I tried my best. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Um, and I hope you had a great 2016 and you'll have an even better 2026. Yeah, let's end it on that. Bye, guys.